Well, good morning, everybody, and Lynn, thank you for filling in with Amy. I was on there, and I made it. Chad, are you with us?
I'm here.
All right, excellent. I hear you got a hold of Cam. Cam, Chad talked to you this morning. We're gonna pull you out today, if that's all right with you.
Yes, sir.
All right, excellent. We appreciate that. Thank you. You know, one of the things that we like to do is, you know, one of the things that we've seen really is one of the best training tools that you can really offer. I don't know why we're getting reverb so bad. Hold on a second here. All right, there we go. One of the things that we like to do is we like to go through case studies. You know, I think, you know, for you guys that have been doing this deal for a while, and you can certainly attest to this, I'm sure, but, you know, for new folks especially, there's a lot of dynamics to this deal. There's a fair amount of moving parts anymore. You know, we have an equipment, we have a bank relationship, then when you look at the different types of equipment, there's all kinds of options available. You look at the banking relationship, there's about probably 1,000,001 different pricing structures. There's just really a lot that goes into a deal anymore. And what we wanted to do, and Chad and I were talking early this morning, so we wanted to go through a case study, and you heard me before. I said we're going to call Cam out a little bit, and Cam's really been rocking the house out there and shaking up a lot of stuff, and I'm going to let Chad kind of set the table of what it is, and then we can turn it over to Cam. But we're going to go through a couple case studies today, and Cam's going to lead us the way. But Chad, do you want to set that up for us and kind of give us the dynamics a little bit, then we can go into it?
Yeah, certainly. And Cam will probably be able to get you the dynamics more so than I can. And really, the case study we chose today, there's a few reasons that I wanted to bring this out, and part of it is it demonstrates a lot of different ways that as an agent you can make money. But I think a lot of people have been, I don't know if apprehensive or they just don't know enough about the Clovers and the Clover Minis, and so I don't know if they haven't been presented or haven't been presented properly, but here's a case, and actually we've got a couple of cases where we did this, where we were able to go in and not only save the merchant money and get them a better program, but also put a system in there that they're committed to and they're going to stay with for a long, long time. So, Cam, I don't know if you want to talk about which one you want to talk about first, whether we talk about the 3-location deal or if you want to talk about the one you just leased last week.
The 3-location deal probably is the nice one to talk about. One reason is because it kicked everything off, but there's a lot of other things that went into this particular sale that are attributable to what we talk about every week on this conference call. But this was a multiple practice, optometry practice in middle part of Georgia, and this company, and this is how joint ventures work. Joint ventures can be wonderful. They can also be a waste of time and take a lot of your time. But when they work out, they're great. This particular practice saw a blog on their website about how wonderful our program was, and they called me. So they had an old plan with this company that was so old that they had a separate American Express account. They even had a separate account for some of the other things. But with these 3 practices that they had, 3 locations, they had 9 merchant services agreements. And what I wanted to do with this is to streamline this back down from 9 to 3. And they had a very tight program. Their program was so tight for bank cards that it was 9 basis points. But there was a lot of opening in other areas that Chad discovered, especially in the debit cards. But one of the cool things about this is that John and Chuck were talking about this was 3 or 4 weeks ago, that the smart thing to do when you had the opportunity was to go face to face. Don't do it over the phone. And it worked perfectly with this because that's what sold this particular account. I could have called them and done it over the phone and probably gotten the account, but I went and drove down there one morning, got there at 8:30 in the morning when they were opening their doors, talked to the manager of the business who really kind of runs the show, and when I made a trip down there, that clinched the deal. We won it at that particular moment. The great thing about this is that what we did is we leased them 6 minis, and they used 2 minis in each one of their locations. These were profitable accounts, big accounts. The minimum of these businesses was $50,000 a month in bank cards. So we were able to close this deal, and I made about $2,300 in upfront commissions on this.
Wow. Why did they lease 2 per store? Just because they have different checkout? How does that work?
Well, a lot of them have a checkout for glasses and that sort of thing. The purchases in the store.
Right.
The other ones are for clinical things. And so they don't want to have to, and the clinical stuff happens in another part of the location. So they would rather have 2 stations so that they don't have to walk around, and it just makes it more efficient. It speeds up the process.
Yeah, absolutely. And $2,100 doesn't hurt your feelings up front either.
No, it didn't hurt my feelings at all. It won't hurt my feelings the residual time either, because this is going to be a nice account.
Yeah, that's always funny how that kind of works hand in hand, isn't it? So, how many minis have you sold so far?
I have, I think it's 12 now. Yeah.
12 minis. Okay. And have you sold any of the main units or the regular ones?
No, I haven't
Been
yet.
On the minis, right? Yeah.
The minis really work well in optometry because they have such limited space, Chuck,
right.
where they can use a terminal,
right.
and though the regular Clover is a great looking machine, and it's a little too big in most locations to work.
Right.
And the Mini is great. The Mini does everything that the big one will do.
Except it's mobile, kind of, or more. It's easier to use. It's smaller.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
And let me ask you, just out of curiosity, because I haven't. Would you say out of the 12, how many of them take advantage of like some of the apps that you can't actually get with the Mini 2, and how many of them just use it as a straight terminal? What's been your? That's
the neat thing, and the way I couch this in selling this is that this will do so much for your business that these are things that you may not want to try them all right now, or you might just have a few that are of interest. But the thing about this, I understand that this new cloud technology is going to be very adaptable, because there are people that are going to be writing programs for business processes that haven't even been dreamed of yet, and will be probably working in 3 to 6 months from now. The thing about this, though, this is such a great machine, it will help your business. It will help your business become more efficient. But right now, let's concentrate on what it will do in processing your cards.
Right. So you're using it more as like to come in later, and as we can explore different app opportunities that would be something that would really relate to what they do or how they do things, then you can come and introduce that and then bring in the cloud technology to them. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's just,
exactly.
it's kind of, it's funny you said that because, you look at some, I think, relatively successful deals that kind of subscribe to that way. And I was reading an article a while back, and I know we've talked about it, and we still send merchants like to Square. Square is one of those deals where, it's really kind of the same concept. Actually, Square doesn't make any money. They're actually losing money, but they have plenty of funding and they have plenty of deep pockets behind it. And I heard they're looking to sell. And I was talking to someone else in the industry, and they go, yeah, I heard Square is looking to, I think Amazon was looking at them or something like that, because they want that customer base. And they know that once they go through the sale, they can readjust everybody's rates to make it extremely profitable. And they'll know they'll lose about a third of the business, but then they have this instant portfolio. And I think that's kind of the same concept you're doing here, is you're just going to, look, you get them in using it just like a regular terminal, and then when it comes time to introduce some other apps, there's additional revenue source for you. Because when they buy apps, guys, for their mini, or they buy apps for the regular Clover, that they have to pay for them. Some of them are free, some they have to pay for, just like it would be on your cell phone. But that's an additional revenue source for you guys, because we get residuals on that. When they buy the apps, you make additional revenue. So I think that's really positioning yourself really smart.
Oh, yeah, well, I hope so. The other thing, too, and this is something that Chad had made me aware of, he said, if you get into a lease with these folks with this, nobody else can process on this Clover technology. It's programmed for us, and that's it. And the thing is, with this 4-year lease, you have an account who's going to be with you for 4 years. I don't lose a lot of business. I'm very happy to say, but this is a way to really anchor a piece of business to you.
Yeah, that's right. And for those of you who don't know what that means exactly, is that, if you get a regular FD terminal, which is an FDR terminal, credit card terminal, any ISO like us that uses FDR can go in and reprogram that terminal. But with the Clover technology, that it's only for First Financial, period. It doesn't matter if someone else comes in from FDR and tries to roll it over. They can't. They'd have to. And Chad, let's look at that. What's that deal that restaurant that you're working right now, that they have a Clover, they love it, and they're with someone else, and we're going in there, and they tested the Clover with someone else. They love it. They can't get a hold of their rep, or the rep with the other company just doesn't see eye to eye with them. What kind of opportunity did that pose for that agent?
The tremendous opportunity, Chuck. What it is they're looking at a number of full-blown units, but then they're also looking at having, I believe it's 6 or 7 of the mobiles, so that they can actually go right to the table, place the order into the mobile. It prints out in the kitchen. The kitchen can make the stuff, and then the wait staff can go right to the table to not only take the order, but then to run the transaction at the end of it. So they sign right on the mobile unit, and they're looking at, I believe it's a total of 10 units in that restaurant. And this is really like an unsuspecting type restaurant that you're thinking, gosh, 10 units, this place has to be huge. It's an old Southern home cooking type restaurant, open 6 days a week, closed on Sundays, and really a lunch and dinner type, just family restaurant.
Right, and here's something that you would think when you walk in. So, think about that too. When you walk in, you see someone's using Clover, like in this application. They tested it with someone else who dropped the ball, who didn't follow up right, didn't maintain that relationship, didn't do all the things that we talk about every other week here. We talk about doing, and then we're coming in going, oh, you like that one? Now understand, we can't reprogram that one. So what we're doing in this 10 clover scenario is we're building in enough to get them out of that clover, to cover the lease on that one, because their needs are more than just one. So, you know, if you ask the right questions and you get out there and I think what the agent did there, and I've never spoken to the agent, I just heard about this through Chad and Monica, but you know, the agent went in and built a relationship, was asking all the right questions. You know, saw what they were using, uncovered a need to have, boy, we'd love to have all our servers walk around with these and go right to the people's table. I mean, what a dream scenario to have someone go, I already want what you have. Now you just got to make the numbers work right. You know, and that's exactly what happened in that scenario. So, you know, and hopefully we can get that one put together. So, and it looks like it's looking very, very, very positive. So, and again, back to what we were talking about with what Cam's doing and the apps, and when they are locked in on the equipment, the next natural thing is get them. You know, as I was golfing this weekend, yesterday with my daughter, and has this app on her phone. It's called Golf Shot, and I had never gotten a golf app on my phone. And when I got it on my phone, I could see, you know, how far away I was from the hole. It would track the score, and it would log it and do all of this. And I remember thinking about that as I downloaded the app yesterday on the golf course, and thinking about that in relation to the clover. Now I'm going to be hard pressed to, not just because of that app, but is something that sparked it. You know, I use an iPhone. I'm going to be really hard pressed to get sold away from my phone now. I'm dependent on it because my apps are things that I use a lot, and they're cloud-based. I understand that. So I can get a new iPhone, not a problem, but I can't go to a Droid or something else and keep all the same stuff that I have. It'll work differently. And the same thing applies with the Clover. You know, you get the people using it, get the merchant using it, and the apps are there to help their business. They're there to, you know, and we were talking last week we talked about maybe it's, you know, a time card for their employees or time clock for their employees. Maybe it's, you know, inventory tracking. Maybe it's, you know, the way the accounting process works. But you get them using it, how hard-pressed do you think they'd be to switch away from you down the road if someone came in with something different? Pretty hard, wouldn't they? So use that to your advantage, you know, and help the merchant. There's things out there that can help their business, and the more successful they are, the more they process, the more revenue you make too. So it's a win-win for everybody. So there's a lot of benefit to bringing that to them.
You know, the 10-foot tall, 100,000-pound gorilla in the corner that hasn't been talked about on this is all of these units that we've put out there. It has not been about dropping your pants on price. It hasn't been, hey, we have to cut this down, cut this down, cut this down. It's we're going in and selling benefits, and we're not having to shave the profit out of the account or take the profit out of the account. You know, with the 3-location optometrist, we kept the exact same bank card rates.
Wow.
We didn't lower them one bit, but we got them a system that's going to make them more efficient.
So let me ask you and pretend I know nothing about this industry, which the more I talk, you'll clearly see that I don't know much about this industry. But so what you're saying is that if you bring enough value, price isn't the issue.
Exactly it.
So
you can't.
That is exactly the case. Now this particular case we're talking about, this 3-location case, they have a 9-point pass-through plan they're in.
Yeah,
that never became an issue. The only thing that was an issue now was this new technology.
Really? They never even asked about rate. Well, when think about this, just think for a second about that, though. You know, and this leads into, especially if you're kind of new to this industry, or business or whatever. You know, it's conceptual. I understand that, but if I could bring something to you guys personally, where if I could say, okay, I can show you I can look at your basically everything that you have, and I can show you how to save $300 a month. Or would you rather have me show you how to make 30 grand a month? If I could show you one of two things, what would you rather have me show you? Save 300 or say 3. Yeah, or say 3,000. I could show you how to save 3 grand a month in all your living expenses, or I can show you how to make 30,000. I think most people here would say, if you had a half cents, I guess, you go, forget showing me how to save 3,000. Show me how to make 30 grand a month. And that's the concept that you can go in when you bring other value besides just a cheap rate. Is they go, look, let me show you how to make more money. Because would you guys agree? There's kind of two types of folks that kind of run out there. There's people that are like, gosh, I got to figure out, and I'm horrible. I'll admit it right now, because I don't sit down and go every month when I'm writing out my bills or doing whatever I'm doing with them. I don't sit and go, gosh, I got to quit spending. I got to start saving money. I don't do that. Do you know what I say to myself? Gosh, I got to make more money.
Yep.
I have to make more. Because for me, it seems easier to just make more, figure out how to make more, because I don't want to change my lifestyle. I don't want to quit going out to my favorite restaurants. I don't want to quit driving the vehicles that I drive. I don't want to quit going the places that I go. But I see that to continue doing that and to do it more, I need to make more money. So it's a little bit of a different concept when you go into the merchant. Because we're all programmed, and it's because it's the way the industry is, we're all programmed to go in and go, hey, let me get you a little better deal, in meaning that let me save you some money. But I love this scenario that, man, the rates didn't even come into play here. It wasn't about that. It was, let me show you how to bring other, different, better, more value so you can make more money. Would you guys agree? Would you rather save $3,000 a month, or would you rather make 30 more?
I'll take the 30.
Yeah.
I'll take.
Well, I guess okay, now we're up to 4 people on the call that take the 30. If you're going, no, I'd rather save 3,000, then you're going to have a real hard time selling value to merchants, because you're going to sell by price, and then you're going to die by price, because when you relate to people who buy by price instead of value, that's a whore's market. These people will jump ship to save $4 a month to someone else. You've got to bring value continually, continuously, always. Remember, bring the value to the table. All right, excellent. Any questions on that stuff, guys? No?
Makes sense.
Makes sense? Awesome. Any other bottlenecks, hurdles, things that you guys are running over? Because you got some really talented folks on this call that have done a lot of this. As you heard, Cam's been to the rodeo more than once. You can see how he's closing business. Chad's done a ton of business. I've done a ton of business. What are you running into that you're struggling with, or is there anything else that we can bring to help you out right now?
Well, I do have 2 EMV questions, if I can share them. I'm not sure where I heard it. It may have been from Security Metrics, but I heard that after October the 1st that a card that's got a chip will not work with a slide. Have you heard anything?
That's not true.
Well, that's not true. It'll work,
Okay.
but here's the issue, and is that all terminals will work. It's not like terminals are automatically dead October. That's not true. But what happens is, if you're not running an EMV terminal, if you're not running and reading that information off the chip, the liability shifts.
Yeah, I knew that.
Right. It shifts to the merchant. So if you get a merchant who goes, you know what, screw it, I'm not getting an EMV terminal. Someone hacks into their whatever they're using, their VX510 or whatever, and they're running data, and someone hacks in and steals all the credit card stuff, it lies on the merchant.
Yeah.
So think about that. And this is the powerful thing when you get into a conversation with the merchant, is that what do you think would happen if somebody tapped in, stole all these credit card numbers, and spent $100,000 on these credit cards you're liable for? What do you think that would do with most merchants if someone says, oh, hey, here you go. You either come up with this $100,000 or we're going to turn you off, TMF you for not doing what you should have done, so you can't get a merchant account again. Number one, how many merchants could come up with the $100,000 right on the downstroke?
Very few.
Very few. Number two, how many merchants today would really survive if their credit card account was taken away from them?
Yeah, they wouldn't.
Right. So why would you, as a merchant, why would you refuse to upgrade, spend anywhere between $300 to $1,000 or $1,500? Why would you not do that and put everything you have on the line? Why would you take that risk? Would you play Russian roulette?
No, I wouldn't.
Well, hell no. I think most of us wouldn't. So you'd go, why are you playing Russian roulette with your business? Because most businesses, when they go under, it affects more than one person. So why would you take a risk on that? That's kind of the conversation and the questioning I would do. I would go down with the merchant. Maybe Chad, you have something else to add to that, but that's what I would do with them.
No, I think that's exactly it. There's enough people out there telling lies and everything else. Just have an honest conversation with them and what would happen if this were to happen? What would you do?
The other EMV question was, when it is turned on, will the merchants have to do additional downloads, or will it just become operable?
I believe they'll have to do some additional downloads. They'll have to do a partial download.
Okay. All right.
They'll certainly be walked through that.
And if you want to prevent that, the Clover Mini is already run. The EMV in that is already working. Yeah. So, for a couple $100 more than selling them a terminal, you can get them one of those, and it'll already be functioning.
Quite frankly, I wouldn't. I would always 100% unless someone could show me some real conclusive data to do something different. I would go with the Clover Mini on almost every deal, if not the full-fledged Clover. I mean, I would always promote that one instead of a credit card terminal. I would go with the
Chuck,
Clover.
I think you're right. I think you're exactly right.
Yeah.
Well, it makes sense from what Cam said, specifically from the point if you just sell them the terminal. When I've been talking to merchants about something I know nothing about, so I'm trying to sell them on features that I don't understand that would tie in. So, simply selling it from the terminal standpoint, knowing that it will allow you options that will grow you, makes sense.
You know what? I had an agent the other day I was talking to. I was helping her go through a deal, and the merchant just said, "Here's all the merchant said is I need EMV terminals." They said smart card, but they go, "I need smart card terminals." And she goes, "Well, what do you think I should recommend to them?" And I go, "Well, just sell them." It was basically show up with the terminal kind of deal. And I go, just do the Clover. Just do the Clover Mini. And what the response to the merchant, she didn't have one, so she went in with the photo of the unit and talked to them. And they go, "Wow, that's the new terminals? Man, that looks." They didn't know if that's what EMV terminals look like. They didn't know if they were supposed to look like a regular old credit card terminal. They had no idea. They went, "Wow, that's what the new EMV terminals look like. That's cool. That's space age." And it was sold as an EMV terminal. It wasn't even sold as, "Hey, it does all these other things." They just said, "Hey, I need to upgrade my equipment. I need EMV terminals." And she showed them the picture and goes, "Well, here's what you'll get." They were like, "Oh, cool. How much is it?" They thought, and I know what was going on, they thought, "Oh, that's just what the new MV terminals are like. I guess that's the way things are going to."
Yeah.
If things didn't change, we would all be talking on those big bag phones or those big huge cell phones with the big hard rubber antenna. Of course, packaging changes, right? So they didn't think anything different. So they're like, "Oh, okay, so that's what the new terminals look like. Okay, well, that's what we need, so let's move forward." So I would definitely, that's the only thing I would pitch right now. is I would present that. And I would, if you ask a lot of the right questions, and and this agent did a good job because she knew what they were interested in was something that was EMV ready. And it didn't matter; they were going with her either way, so that nothing mattered there. But so she just went with that terminal, and everything was fine. So I would certainly recommend that.
Chuck.
Yeah.
Can you do this? Can you give us 4 or 5 solid reasons that you think the Clover Mini to a prospect the Clover Mini is their answer to their problems?
Well, I guess a handful of things. Number one, I think, what were the numbers, Chad? I don't remember what the numbers are, but I think only like 30-something% of merchants today in our country are EMV ready. That's number one. So 60 to 70% of the merchants that you deal with today need to upgrade. So, and the Clover Mini's ready. So there's one big reason. Another big reason is, I think, space-wise, it's, let's say aesthetically, it's a lot nicer than an old clunky credit card terminal. I think that when you start doing proper discovery and you get in a little deeper with the merchant and you find out some other things they were using. I know Cam and I, when we were in Florida, we talked to a lot of doctors about reminder services like texting, email reminders, which you can do with the Clover when you start getting into some of the apps, which those guys were all paying for additional services to do that, weren't they, Cam?
Yeah, they were. They were paying like $50 a month for
text reminders. Yeah. They're timekeeping. They were paying $50 a month to another company to do the texting for them. Why do that? Go to Clover. Or an email marketing, go to Clover. Or collecting data on your customers, use the Clover. Because it's so much easier. Say, hey, would you like me to just go ahead and email you a receipt? Okay, here. And you can hand it right over to them, right at the table, or right at the counter, or in the room where they're buying glasses. You can go, here, just put your email address in here. We'll email you the receipt. That way you know you've got it and you're not going to misplace it or whatever. Or and then I collect their data. Inventory management is a big one. And when you think about bringing value to someone, I go to actually, it's funny, the liquor store went out of business, unfortunately, because they had the best deal on wine. And I went to the store, and the lady was in there with a clipboard, and she was counting all the bottles in the store. This was a while back, and I go, gosh, that looks like a lot of fun. She goes, oh, I hate doing inventory. It takes me 3 days. Because imagine you're doing inventory, you're in there counting, the bottle of Mad Dog 2020. Someone walks in, you go, oh, okay, I got to put the clipboard down. I got to run up, check out this customer, and then I go, okay, now where was I again? After the customer leaves, where was I again? Oh, okay. So this woman spends 3 days. No wonder she's out of business, because she wasn't doing the right thing. But I see it happen constantly. They spend all this time doing inventory when you could do all that through Clover, and it takes minutes instead of days. What is that worth to you? So would you rather, map it out, and you got to walk merchants through this. They won't come to this on their own, guys. You got to ask the right leading questions. And this one's probably a really good example of one to use. Is go, geez, doing inventory, I see. Oh, yeah. Wow, how long does that take you? 3 days. Well, I suppose, you're helping people out. You're trying to get inventory done and do all this. Let me ask you, if I could save 3 days a month for you out of your life, would that help you? What do you mean? What if I could take those 3 days and turn it down into minutes? Then you got to go, okay, what does it cost me to do inventory? If someone makes, let's say someone makes, and I'm just to make math easy, if you make $50 an hour and you're spending 8 hours doing inventory, there's $400 that you can't get back. So $400, when I could lease you a Clover and have the Clover system and say I could get you to $150 a month, would you rather spend $150 or $400? And that other, that other $350 invested into something to make you more money. Invest in marketing. Oh, how do you do marketing? Well, I'm glad you asked. Wouldn't it be nice if you could track all your customers and their spending habits with you and mark it out when you run certain specials? Yeah, well, you know what? That $150 a month you're spending on the Clover is going to help you do that too. What? It just doesn't do inventory. It helps me market too. You got to lead them to it. You can't just tell them. You got to kind of ask them questions to lead them there. Does that make sense? That concept make sense?
Yes,
Well,
sir.
it does. Would there be a way to maybe have somebody that represents Clover on the conference call where we could ask them questions like, how do you initially get the inventory into the app? Does that have to be, I'm assuming that's done manually.
You know what? That's a really, really great question. I'm sure we could get, what's the guy's name? I forgot his name again. First name?
Dave?
Dave, right? There's a FDR rep who he deals with all the Clover stuff, and he's offered to travel too. So he goes, hey, if you guys are running a trade show somewhere and you want me to come, no problem. I'm pretty confident we could get him on a conference call and do a Clover conference call with him.
Yeah, I think that'd help us a lot if we had some initial questions.
I'd like to take him to
get answers like that.
Yeah. What'd you say, Cam?
I'd like to take him to New Jersey.
Yeah. He'd probably go, actually.
I bet he would.
Go. That's in September, right?
Yeah. Yes, it is.
Yeah. He'd probably go to that. So there's a lot of different, just bring value. If you sell by price, man, this deal's so hard because that merchant is wired to just, I got to find the cheapest, and we don't have to be. And nor do you want to be. You want to be the one that brings the most value. So anyway, unless there's any other real pressing questions, I want to thank you all for your time today. Next week, we'll try to give you a kind of a timeline of when we can get Dave on the call with us. Probably won't be next week. Maybe it will. We'll see. We'll reach out to him and see what that looks like. But thank you all for coming. Any other questions? Die-hard questions? Things that need to be answered? Nope. All right, excellent. Let's get out there. It's the last week of the month. We need to really, turn it up, get your numbers on, make sure we qualify, and let's get some deals in. Thanks for coming, everybody.